Have you ever wondered if the universe was more than just matter and energy? What if it was also a perfectly structured, infinite library of all information that has ever existed? Well, today we're diving into a fascinating system of belief that suggests exactly that.
Just think about that for a second. What if every single event, every thought, every piece of knowledge from a lost civilization wasn't gone at all? What if it was all perfectly preserved, saved on a cosmic hard drive that never ever runs out of space? That's the core idea we're digging into.
So that brings us to our first big idea, a premise that really challenges everything we think we know about memory and data loss. The concept that information is totally eternal.
Yeah, you heard that right. According to this belief system, you can think of the entire universe as a cosmic hard drive with infinite capacity. Information isn't really created and then destroyed, it just is. It's stored permanently. So take a legendary lost civilization, like Atlantis. In this model, all the info about their history, their technology, their culture, it isn't gone for good. Nope, it's just become inactive. Kind of like a file you've closed on your computer. It's not deleted, it's just sitting there on the drive, waiting for someone to come along and open it again.
Okay, so if all this data is being stored, what does that storage system even look like? Let's get into the architecture of this so-called cosmic hard drive. The fundamental structures holding all this together are called information planes. Now, these are some separate, far-off dimensions. The idea is that they are realities that are woven through all of existence. It's like a network that permeates the very fabric of space and time, constantly storing, transmitting, and processing data.
And there's a whole hierarchy for how this information moves around. It all starts with something called the crystal of the absolute. That's the main source, holding all potential information. From there, it flows through crystal concentrators, which are basically the cosmic servers. Then you get down to the individual crystals, which are like the files themselves. And connecting this whole shebang, you've got energy threads, the network cables of this cosmic internet.
All right, so this all sounds incredibly pure and perfectly organized, doesn't it? But it brings up a really obvious question. If all true information is perfect and eternal, why is our world so full of mistakes, lies, and just plain confusion?
This is the central conflict, the real puzzle in this belief system. You know, if the original data is flawless, where does all the junk come from? Well, the theory has an explanation for that.
So the theory suggests that true information is never actually erased. Instead, what we experience as misinformation is a distortion. It's like an overlay that's being broadcast by what are called matrix structures. A good way to think about it is like a pirate radio station. It doesn't delete the official broadcast, it just hijacks the frequency and blasts its own signal right over the top of the real one.
And here's the really empowering part of this whole idea. It suggests this isn't some hopeless situation we're stuck in. By developing your awareness on what it calls the subtle planes, these other realms of existence beyond our normal five senses, a person can supposedly learn to see through all that static, through the distortion, and access the pure, original information underneath.
So this brings us from the huge cosmic scale right down to you and me. How does a person actually connect to this universal internet of information? Well, the source material points to a specific biological link, the Occipital Center, which is located at the back of your head. You can think of it as your body's built-in Wi-Fi antenna, specifically designed to receive data streaming in from the information planes.
This center is described as your personal system information channel. It's said to operate on a very distinct energy spectrum, white on lilac. And, super important here, it receives data primarily as images, not as words or sounds. The theory also warns that if your connection here is weak or undeveloped, that's what leaves you vulnerable to getting your channel hijacked by that distorting matrix we just talked about.
So, of course, this leads to the big practical question. How do you strengthen this connection? How do you actually get direct access to this incredible archive? Well, the belief system lays out a few alleged steps.
The prep work is basically a three-step process. First, you have to clear any blocks from the Occipital Center, which the source describes as chips and connections from the matrix. Second is the more general work of just heightening your own consciousness. And third, direct practice, learning to focus on that center to receive and then interpret that incoming stream of images.
And this really leads to the ultimate goal, right? Developing the skill to tap into this universal archive whenever you want. The whole point is to be able to receive any information you're looking for, not as words, but as images that you then learn to decode and understand.
I mean, it's a truly profound concept to wrap your head around. A universe that remembers everything, and a personal key that can supposedly unlock that memory. It really leaves us with one final big question to think about. If you could ask the universe's perfect archive anything at all, from the secrets of a lost city to the true nature of reality itself, what would be your first question?